Also wir sagen, vielen Dank, dass du heute da bist.
Sehr gerne.
Und the stage is yours.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. My name is Mahsa Doorfard and I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager at coinIX. coinIX is a blockchain venture capital. We're a blockchain investment company and we have different forms of investment. For example, we invest in the form of equity. We have a liquid portfolio as well. We invest in the traditional, like the normal cryptocurrencies that you know. I'm not going to go so much deep into our company and our portfolio. If you have more questions after the talk, you can ask me questions. But I'm going to start with ReFi, which is the abbreviation of Regenerative Finance. But before I start, let me do a pulse check. How many of you already know what is ReFi? Raise your hand. One. Christof knows, okay. And how many of you already knows what is blockchain? Everybody somehow? Like 80%, 90%? Okay, that's good. Just to know the blockchain concept would help to understand ReFi. Good, now let's start. So, when we talk about ReFi, you're talking about the intersection of two different worlds. One of these worlds is the Web3 world, the blockchain world, blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies, metaverse, NFTs, DeFi, and so on. And the other part of ReFi would be sustainability concepts. We have ESG, climate agreements, impact finance, carbon markets, and so on. If you want to understand ReFi, you have to understand both worlds. So if you know one of them and not the other, or if you know the other one and not the first one, you will not understand the concept of ReFi. So they go hand in hand, and it's really important to have a grasp of both of them. Before I start about ReFi, I'm going to start with Web3. Let's go a little back to the beginning of internet. So right now we are here in Web2. But a long time ago, the first generation of the internet was Web 1. I think you probably haven't experienced Web 1. Web 1 was the time that there was only some news on Yahoo and you could read it, but you couldn't like it, you couldn't write a comment, you couldn't send it to your friends. There were no TikTok, Instagram, there were no influencers. It was just text. And there were no interaction. It was just one way. You could only read. You could only have a one-way connection with the internet. That was Web 1. Then we started Web 2. So Web 1 was from 1991 until 2005 or something like that. And in Web 2, you can not only read, you can write and create as well. Now we can be creators. Here we were just consumers. We would just consume the content. But here, we can create the content as well. We can have TikTok accounts, we can have Instagram accounts. You can video call with your family. You can create something. You can have interactions. You can write comments. You can like something. So this is Web 2. Now we are at the beginning of the Web 3 world. Before I talk about the Web 3 world, let me ask, how many of you already have a crypto wallet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 20% of the people in the class. So you guys are already in the Web 3 world. The others, you're still in Web 2. You gotta hurry up. So in the Web 3 world, you can not only read and write and create, but you can also do transactions. You can pay money directly to someone else as a peer-to-peer interaction. You might say, okay, but I do online shopping in Web 2 as well. I pay money on PayPal and so on. And that's transaction as well. But here, there is always an intermediary. There is always someone who's watching you. Who is this intermediary? The bank, PayPal. Everyone are watching your actions on whatever that you're doing, all your transactions. I remember my aunt wanted to transfer some money to my account like a few years ago from UK, and it took 4 days until it comes to my account because it had to go through so many intermediaries. The Bank of UK had to accept it, then it had to go through some clearinghouse, and then it landed into my bank account. So, have you seen many log into a website, you usually have some options. For example, you can log in with Google, log in with Facebook, log in with email, with blah, blah, blah. That's Web 2. In the past, what did we have? In the past, we had username and password. You had an email, you had a password. But in Web 3, when you want to get connected to a Web 3 platform, you should connect your wallet. You will be asked to call it, for example, connect your MetaMask wallet to the platform. So they don't really care who you are. They don't care if you are German, if you're from Africa, if you're living in a country which is sanctioned, if you're under 18, after 18. It doesn't really matter who you are, what you do, and it's completely open to everyone. That's why we say that in Web3 we have inclusion, so everybody can use it. So this is a summary of the evolution of the internet, and we are right now at the end of Web 2 and we're stepping into the Web 3 world. Decentralization. If you look at these two pictures, this one is centralized. There is one point in the middle, all of the others are pointing to it. Everybody are dependent on this one in the middle. But if you look at this one, the decentralized one, it's not focused on one place. There is no one point of failure. For example, imagine I have a piece of information which is very important to me. I don't want to lose it. I write it on a piece of paper. I put it here on my desk. Or I make a Word document on my laptop. I just put it on my laptop and I close my laptop. If anything happens to this building, to this desk, to that laptop, my information is gone forever. But if I put this information on thousands of computers all around the world, computers which are storing the same information all at the same time, if one of the computers goes down, the others are there and they are storing the same information. So that's why we say decentralization is very important. When we have centralized systems, if anything happens here in the middle, if anything happens to that point where all the power is, everything is gone. All the information will be gone, all the system will be gone. So this is why we say decentralization is very important, and that's the most important concept in blockchain. Nowadays, we all have centralized companies. When you start to work somewhere, you have a boss, there is a CEO, then there is a manager, then there is an analyst, and it's a hierarchy of people. Someone has the most power, someone is the founder of a company, someone has a little more power, and then you try to come up from this hierarchy tree and in your career to get more successful. But soon we will have these centralized companies. In a few years there will be no CEO anymore. There will be no founder. Everybody will be the same. We will have a community, and how we make decisions is that there will be proposals. For example, I make a proposal, then everybody will vote. So everybody will be in the same level, there will be no power. You have a question?
Yes, but the owner carries all the risk.
Excuse me?
The owner carries all the risk.
The owner carries all the risk?
So why should he let others decide when he's the one who takes all the risk in the end? For example, when there's a dedication case, I just take a new job. If the company is gone and the CEO, the founder, he maybe goes to jail, so he takes all the risk and he makes a decision. Why should that change?
We talk about a system in which there will be no risk. You know, when we say we have a CEO, when we say there is someone in the power, he has the right to do fraud. He can steal things, he can take all the money and run away. But when all the system is transparent, when everybody are the same and there is no one who holds the information and the power, then the chances that the fraudulent activities happen is really low. For example, one of the things that we do in our company is that, so we are handling a lot of assets, a lot of money, millions of euros. What we do is that we have multi-sig wallets. So we don't have one wallet with one password so that the CEO controls, because maybe he runs away. What we do is that we have a multi-sig wallet, which is connected to 5, 6 people, and we need at least 4 validations from 4 people in our company so that they say, yes, I agree, I agree, I agree, then they can do the transaction. So if we move towards this system, there will be no more fraudulent activities because it will be like somehow among everybody and there will not be one source of power. I hope I have answered your question. So let's move on with the presentation. As I was saying, yeah, so we are moving forward to have decentralized companies. We call them DAO. DAO is the abbreviation of Decentralized Autonomous Organization. They are autonomous. When I create a company and I say, this is my company, when I run away, when I decide to stop operating this company, then this company will be gone. But if I choose someone else as the CEO, yeah, it can move forward. But when it's a DAO, when it's a decentralized system, it doesn't really matter how many people go and how many people stay. The system will survive. The system will go on. Now let's talk about blockchain. So as I said, decentralization is very important in blockchain. In blockchain, we have millions and thousands of ledgers all around the world, and each one of them is storing the same information at the same time. We have some blocks which are storing information, and they are connected to each other in a chain, and you will have the chance to audit the prior history. You can see what has happened in the past, in the prior blocks, what has happened, the transactions. You can see, for example, if you buy an NFT, if you buy a piece of art which has an equivalent NFT, you can see who were the owners, the former owners of this piece of art. How much have they paid in each transaction that has happened between them? So blockchain makes everything very transparent, and it will really create a new financial system which is more inclusive. There are usually some people who are against blockchain. Some of them are corporate forces, the banks, the intermediaries. They don't like it because it's against their benefits. So they are the intermediaries. They are benefiting from the situation. Why would they want you to go through a peer-to-peer system? Another group who would reject blockchain would be normal people who just don't have the energy to research, or they're just not open, they're not flexible to accept different things and to learn and to explore. And some people say that blockchain and cryptocurrencies is really in connection with criminal activities. For example, you can buy weapons in darknet and so on. But if you look closer to that, you can do any criminal thing in any other industry. For example, when the e-commerce got a little more strong, we saw a lot of scams on the internet. But does that mean that e-commerce is bad? No, it doesn't. There is corruption in all the industries. So if one bad thing is happening in the blockchain industry, we cannot say that cryptocurrencies are bad or blockchain industry is bad. So here you can see some of the advantages of the blockchain. It is more efficient, it is faster, it is more transparent. You have access to all the details on the blockchain. You can follow all the transactions. So the chances that the CEO of a company or a bank or somehow they lose money or they steal money would be so much lower than the traditional systems. Then we have integrity. We use smart contracts in the blockchain industry. Smart contracts make everything automated. So you don't have to trust anyone because the system is automated. It will happen. If someone wants it or doesn't want it, doesn't really matter. We have more security in the blockchain. Everything is very secure. And as I said, we have decentralization in the blockchain and inclusive finance. This will go under the category of ReFi. You know, there are a lot of people out there who don't have a bank account. Maybe it might be normal for you to have a bank account. But there are some people in Africa, they don't even have a passport. They don't even have an ID card. If they want to open a bank account, they need to do KYC. They need to go through this process of know your customer in the banks, but they can't because they cannot have an ID. So there are a lot of unbanked people in the world, and all they need to enter the blockchain world would be internet. So that's why we say blockchain industry is inclusive. It is inclusive finance because it lets everybody join the financial system. but it's not easy. Yeah?
Just one quick question. I get that that's a huge pro point that you are building an inclusive finance system, but isn't it also one of the bigger trade-offs of blockchain technology that you do not have any validation that the person or the person you're interacting with is, first of all, actually a human being, and second of all, someone that you can trust? How will you ensure that that's inside the system?
It doesn't have to be a human being, you know? Even one smart contract can have a wallet. Even one smart contract can invest. So I think even if it's not going to be a human being, it's going to be okay. And what is really important in blockchain, what we focus on, is that we want to make sure that, for example, this transaction happens and we don't really care who is the one on the other side of it. And it's something that we need to go deep and analyze it in different situations. But the most important thing when we go through blockchain concept is that we just want to make sure that based on this smart contract, this transaction should happen when these factors are triggered. So it doesn't really matter who is on the other side of the transaction. And yeah, as I said, it's not that easy. Now I want to talk about some disadvantages of blockchain. Not disadvantages, like challenges, the things that make it hard for it to happen, the mass adoption to happen. So first of all, interoperability. We have many blockchains out there, but they are not connected. Some of them are an isolated world inside themselves, and they have no connection, and that makes it hard for the mass adoption to happen. Another one would be consumer protection. When you want to transfer some money in your Sparkasse bank account and something goes wrong and it just doesn't work or your money is gone, you just call them. There's a customer service. You say, hey, what's happening? There's someone that you can talk to and they're going to fix your problem. But in the Web3 world, there's no one. Nobody is going to help you. If you forget your password, your money's gone. Nobody is going to be there to help you. So that's one of the challenges of blockchain. And we have large fluctuations, like the prices go up and down and they give you a heart attack sometimes, so you have to be very patient. And the regulations. Patchwork regulations will make it really hard to go forward to the mass adoption. Because, for example, in Europe we say, we move towards blockchain and cryptocurrencies, we are positive towards it, but in China they ban it, in India they ban it. So it's a complex situation. If you transfer money from one country to another country, the regulations are not so moving towards one direction, and that makes it a bit hard. And then we have low mainstream adoption. There is a huge knowledge gap in between. People just don't understand the concept of blockchain. And they don't trust the system, and it's going to take a lot of time to bring more people into the system. If you look at this chart, the red line is the total crypto users from 2014 until 2022, and the black one is the total internet users from 1990 until 2000. They are somehow moving the same. You see, at the beginning, people didn't trust internet. They couldn't even imagine how you're using internet today in 2024. So if you just look at the line which is related to the crypto, maybe one day we're gonna get where the internet has gone for now. Smart contracts. Smart contracts are small computer programs or transaction protocols that make something happen, a transaction. They make a transaction happen when specific factors are triggered. For example, I write a program and I say, okay, when this happens, or this happens, or this happens, transfer this amount of money from this wallet to this wallet. Nothing else is important. The smart contract will just wait to see when the factors are triggered, the money will be transferred. So it's more like a program which is living on the blockchain. That's what we call the smart contract. And that's really useful because when you are doing business with someone and you use a smart contract, then you don't have to worry about whether this is going to happen or not, whether the regulations are going to change or what so on. This smart contract will make the transaction when the factors are triggered. And this is very important in the concept of ReFi because it's going to be used in many of the projects, ReFi projects. So here you can see some of the smart contract platforms. We have Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Avalanche, Fundum, and Polkadot. Have you invested in any of them? Yeah? Okay, cool. Nice. Now let's get a little deeper into how blockchain works. Consensus mechanisms. Consensus mechanisms are the rules of how a blockchain should work. It's like a system in which the blockchain network will find the honest participants and will incentivize them, will give them some money. So it's an incentivized model to make the participants of the system move forward towards honesty, to good. For example, when you stake Ethereum, when you stake a cryptocurrency, you are actually one of the validators in the staking network. We have two common consensus mechanisms. One of them is proof of work and the other one is proof of stake. Proof of work is, for example, like Bitcoin. When someone says, I mine Bitcoin, it means he is one of the validators of the proof of work consensus mechanism. Ethereum used to have proof of work consensus mechanism, but a few months ago, it moved towards proof of stake. It changed, and it was really good when you consider ReFi and sustainability, because in proof of work, you need a lot of electricity, you need a lot of computational power, and it will create a lot of CO2 emissions. But in proof of stake, that's more environment friendly, it is faster, it doesn't need that much energy, so it's so much better. So here you can see some of the staking protocols. If you want to take part in the staking activities, you can just go to these platforms, Rocket Pool, Unifarm, Lido protocol. You can just buy some cryptocurrencies and stake it on these platforms. Then you will be one of the validators of the networks. And that's actually a really good thing. For example, when you stake a piece of your cryptocurrencies, you are actually making the system more decentralized. If someone wants to attack a network, he should own a significant amount of cryptocurrencies in that system. But the more different people stake their tokens, the more decentralized will be the system, the less fraudulent activities will happen in the system. So that's actually good. The more people stake, the more different people stake, the better the system is going to be. But there are some disadvantages as well. You need to be really careful. There are some staking pools. When we say staking pool, it means it's not just one person. There's going to be a lot of different people. They're going to put their money together and they stake together. When you are choosing one staking pool, you need to do a lot of research to make sure that that staking pool is not doing anything illegal. They are doing everything perfectly, because if they do anything wrong, they're going to get penalized and they're going to get slashed. When we say they get slashed, it means your money will be gone. So you have to be very careful. And we always have this centralization risk. So when we are staking, if one group of people or if one person has the majority of the network, the staking in the network, they are going to have the power. DeFi. DeFi is the abbreviation of Decentralized Finance. It's just like the traditional financial systems that we have, but we do it with cryptocurrencies. So it's going to be trading, lending, borrowing, all the platforms that make it possible with cryptocurrencies are going to go under the category of ReFi. So now I'm going to talk about a little bit about the use cases of blockchain. You know, when we talk about what is blockchain and why it is useful and so on, it's not so tangible. It's like you're like, okay, that's cool, but I don't get it. But when you talk about the use cases, it will be a little more easy for you to understand how it can be used in our everyday lives. One of the use cases of blockchain is tokenization. Here you can see a picture which is related to tokenization of real estate. Imagine there is a really nice house, which you know is going to be very expensive in a few months, but it's very expensive. Like, you cannot even afford it now, but you really want to do this investment. So you're going to buy a fraction of this house, thanks to tokenization. You can buy a fraction of it, and then when you make your profit, you are going to just sell it and make your profit. So that's one of the use cases of blockchain. You can tokenize literally anything, not just houses. You can tokenize works of art, you can tokenize wine, you can tokenize equity of a company. You can tokenize anything. FINEXITY is one of the companies that we have invested in. They are a platform which make the assets tokenized. It make it possible for you to invest in different assets in tokenized form. For example, here you can see this is a house, we have jewelry, wine, different things. You can even invest with $5 or like 100 euros. So it's really fractionalized. You can invest in a small part of it, and when you look at it in the whole, maybe like, I don't know, 100 people are taking part in one investment. So that's really interesting. Another use case of blockchain is supply chain. Imagine a huge puzzle, and each one of these parts of the puzzle would be one step into the production of a product. For example, a t-shirt or a phone or anything. We will say, for example, step 1 is gathering the materials, step 2 would be putting them together, step 3 they will do some technical stuff, and then it will go to the end customer. All these steps in the supply chain can be saved on the blockchain. And then, for example, when you go to the grocery store and you want to buy a carrot, you can see where exactly it was farmed, who has bought it, then who has sold it to whom, and then it has ended into your hands in your home, in your kitchen. So you will have a complete view of the supply chain of all the single products that are in your home. It helps you to make sure that the products that you have are legit, they're not lying, they're not scams, so it makes everything so transparent. Here you can see the logo of two companies. These two companies are using blockchain to use them in the supply chain, Aspen and Tracifyer, and our company has invested in Aspen. Yeah?
I have one question regarding the tokenization of assets. For example, I saw a picture of diamonds. Yeah, it's hard to imagine for me what is my actual value added that I have by investing in a part of these diamonds, because for example, when I buy a house, this house is an asset, it's able to generate cash flows. If I rent it, then bring it in my pocket. Or I can go to this house and live there, so that's another value. But when I own a fraction of this house, okay, I own a fraction of this house, I cannot live there, it's not my house, maybe I own 1%. The only thing that comes to my mind is hope that the stock on it will rise and I sell it again for profit. Like everyone I know that buys this stuff just hopes that the value rises. I don't see really a value added like.
So first of all, when you tokenize an asset, it will be a digital form of representation of ownership. So you can really prove that you are the owner of that property. But for example, imagine there is one house, let's imagine it's 20 euros. You don't have 20 euros, but you have 10 euros. You and your friend will invest in it, so then you together will have 20 euros. And then after some years, the house will be, I don't know, 400 euros. Then you're going to split the price because he has one part and you have one part, and it's going to make it so much easier. For example, imagine we all in this room, we all want to invest in a house. That's going to be a lot of work, a lot of paperwork. How are we going to do that? Like you're going to have 1,000 contracts, and how are we going to declare it with a lawyer, and who's going to be the representative to sign it? But when we tokenize it, it's going to be so automated and so easy. So that's why we use tokenization. But I know when you hear it, it's so untangible. It's not really that easy to grasp it and to feel it. But for now, it would be just enough for you to just get a theory in your mind to say, okay, these things are possible. And after some time, when you read more articles, when you do it with your own hands, when you invest with your own hands, then you're going to get a feeling of, aha, okay, that's it. But for the first stage, that's good, just to get the theoretical concept of it. This is my favorite topic, DePIN and EoT. DePIN is the abbreviation of Decentralized Physical Infrastructure. And EoT is the abbreviation of Economy of Things. When we say decentralized physical infrastructure, we refer to industries such as mobility, like e-scooter companies, telecom. They can go in this category. And it's like we empower the communities with tokens, like we incentivize them, we give them money, so that they make the infrastructure for us. For example, Uber. If they wanted to rent thousands of taxis and just hire people to do them for them, to be the drivers for Uber, that would be a lot of work. But they did a smart thing. They made it decentralized so that the other people make the infrastructure. They use their own car and they use it. That's somehow the same thing that is done in DePIN. And in the EoT, or Economy of Things, if you look at this picture, imagine I have a solar panel on top of my home. And I have a neighbor. My neighbor has some electrical devices in his home. And my solar panel has created electricity, but some of that electricity is extra. I don't need it. I have used it in all of my stuff, and there is some extra electricity, and my neighbor needs electricity. So I'm not going to talk to my neighbor. My neighbor is not going to talk to me. The devices will get connected. My solar panel will send the electricity to the devices in my neighbor's home. And that device is going to send the money directly to my solar panel. No one's going to send any transaction to my bank account. The devices will do the transaction automatically with no human interaction. This is what we say EoT, Economy of Things. You hear IoT a lot, Internet of Things, but when we talk about Internet of Things, the things are only connected through Internet. When we say EoT, the things will pay each other. They will have transactions. There will be money coming and going. That's what we call Economy of Things. Here you can see three logos. These three companies are in the DePIN area. Natix, Helium, Peak. Our company has invested in Natix and Peak. Peak is making the Economy of Things possible. They're working in this area. And Natix, what they're doing is that they are working on smart cameras. They have an application, you can download it. And with your cameras on your phone, or you can put cameras in your car when you drive your car, you gather data, information as you are driving, and you earn money. And they use the data that you have gathered to use it in the maps. But it's going to be, for example, they're going to use it to see how many people are in the street, how much traffic was there, so they use the data for the maps. All the things that I just said were in this part, in the Web3 world. Now let's move towards this part, the sustainability part. So ReFi is a mixture of these two worlds, as I said, the Web3 world and the sustainability world. It is some kind of ideas and some tools on top of blockchain to make the world a little better for everyone, to make it easier for everybody to use the financial system and to prosper in life. You have probably heard the word sustainability a lot, but do you think it's the same as regeneration? They are not the same. Many people think when we say regenerative finance, we're talking about sustainability, but it's way more than sustainability. If sustainability is this big, regeneration is this big, so it's another world. Degeneration means when you use the sources so much more than you have. Unfortunately, we are living in a degenerative world right now. We are in danger. Humans have crossed 6 of the planetary boundaries, and that means it's horrible. It's going to be horrible for our children, for our grandchildren, and humans are living their life like nothing wrong is happening. In the next slides, I'm going to talk more about the planetary boundaries. So in the degeneration, in the degenerative world, people just use and consume, and they don't really care about the resources. In a sustainable world, people will just be a little more cautious. They will consume in a way that they don't make the resources less, so that they make sure that the environment will be okay as well. But in the regenerative world, when it comes to regeneration, we try to move toward a system that when we consume something, we make it thrive. We make it even bigger, we make it blossom, we create more. So imagine this situation that there is an investment opportunity, and you know that if you invest right now, you will earn like 5 million euros in 2 days, but this investment opportunity will have some activities which is against human rights, or for example, they are creating too much CO2 emissions. Would you invest in it? Raise your hand if you would. 2, 3, somebody's not sure. Okay, 4. Yeah, you see, some people really invest, and I understand. When it's good about money, 5 million euros, come on, that's a lot of money. Many people don't really think about sustainability. They don't think about, okay, what's going to happen to the planet or the human rights, that's money. But what if we can create a system in which when we do good, we will get money. When we move towards sustainability, we will get money. That's what ReFi is trying to do. ReFi is trying to create a system in which you don't have to do something bad to earn money. So you will be incentivized when you move towards regeneration. That's what we're trying to do in ReFi or in regenerative systems. You probably have heard this term, ESG. ESG is the abbreviation of environment, governance, social. And in the ReFi industry, ESG investing is really important most of the time. When, for example, we want to make an investment, we will try to check if they are following the ESG concepts. In the environment part of ESG concepts, we have biodiversity laws, climate change, renewable energy. For example, if you want to see if a company is ESG compliant, you gotta see if they have any CO2 emission reports, or if they are doing anything against the environment. Or in the governance, this is focused on the CEOs, the leaders of the company, how the leadership looks like. For example, how much the CEO earns. Is it okay? Is it fair? Or in the social part, it's about diversity, inclusion, race, gender, human rights, modern slavery. For example, if there is a company, you should take a look if all of them are, for example, from one nationality. They don't let foreigners in. They don't let people from other generations in. They don't let women in. They don't let homosexuals in. Then they will not go under the ESG compliance. But when we think about ESG, that's not really easy, because most of the profitable things in the world are not in this area. For example, the industries that are really avoided by ESG investors would be weapons, nuclear, coal, mining, these kind of industries, and they are really profitable, like tobacco and so on. But in ReFi, we try to find a way in which we can benefit and do something good for the world as well. Here you can see the ReFi Principles. ReFi has 8 principles and tries to move forward these principles. For example, one of them is in right relationship. So you should try to have a good relationship not only in the system, but with the outer system as well, with the customers, with the other people that your company is connected with. Or for example, views wealth holistically. It means it doesn't take a look only at the money and the benefit. It looks at everything in a bigger picture, about the health, about the well-being of everybody in the world. So these are some of the traits and principles of ReFi. And here we have globally accessible, automating positive actions. We use smart contracts in ReFi, and that's why we say it's going to automate good actions. It's flexible and fast, and it's decentralized. Doughnut Economies. Have you heard of Doughnut Economies? Nobody? Okay. Take a look at this donut here. Imagine it's a donut. In the outer part of it, you see the sources that we have in the world. We have land use, climate change, fresh water, and so on. In the inner circle of the donut, we have the needs that we have in this world as humans. We need food, water, income, health, gender equality, and so on. The safe place for humans to have a prosperous life and not to use a lot of the sources in the world would be here. So this is what we call Doughnut Economies, to use the resources in a way that everybody would be prosperous, but at the same time we are not using too much of the resources. Social impact. Social impact refers to trying to make a change in the society. When you are investing, if you take attention, if you pay attention to the way that this project is making a change in the world, in the society, that means you care about social impact, not just money. Here, this is an example, impact market. This is a project which is an impact DAO. As I said, DAO is Decentralized Autonomous Organization. And what they do is that they are focused on universal basic income. They try to give the less privileged people a kind of basic income, which is going to be around $1.5 a day. In some countries, that's a lot of money. So they're trying to create an impact in less privileged countries. And here you can see the Global South. Do you know what is Global South? Anybody? If you look at the map, you see the darker part. This is the Global South. So Europe, America, Canada, they're not in it. The Global South is unfortunately not in a good situation. When you just analyze everything, it's more vulnerable than Europe or America or Canada. For example, they have environmental degradation. Many forests are in danger. We have climate change mitigation. The climate change problems and issues in these areas of the world are so much higher than other parts of the world. And we have sustainable agriculture. The way that the people use traditional agriculture is going to deplete the soil, it's going to destroy the land. So we need to find more sustainable ways to farm. For example, if there is a project which creates a sustainable way to do farming, that's going to go under the category of ReFi. Then we have biodiversity conservation, rural development, and access to clean water. In these areas, there are many countries in which people don't have even water. They don't have clean water. So these are the problems in the Global South, and most of the ReFi projects are focused on these countries because they are less privileged than the other countries. Now let's talk about inclusive finance. In inclusive finance, we create a system in which everyone can take part. As I said, there are some people out there who don't even have a bank account. They don't even know what is investing. They have no idea. They can borrow money, or they can lend money, or they can take profit. They just want to live. They just want to survive. So in inclusive finance, we try to introduce people to these kind of financial systems and put them in, try to involve them, try to help them to have a better life by using the financial systems, by automating good actions. Here you can see some examples. For example, the World Food Program has a project. It is called Building Blocks. It is considered an inclusive finance project under the category of ReFi because it's for refugees. If you look at this picture here, you see they are scanning the iris of the eye of the woman here. This is done in Pakistan. So what they do is that they have a track record of how many groceries this person has bought or how many aid and services they have received. So whenever they go to the supermarket, they don't need to have cash with them because sometimes as a refugee, it's really hard to have cash with you when they are moving from one country to another. And here they can just scan their eye and they will be able to get, to receive aids and to go shopping. Another example would be Rahat. If you see the woman here, she has a phone in her hand. So this project is not based on internet. You don't even have internet. It's just on your phone. I'm not sure how it works as well, but it's somehow they just use their phone and they will receive some tokens in their phone. And when they go shopping, they will receive some specific aid. Or there are some local shops which have already partnered with this company, Rahat. So they are told you can go to this shop and this shop and this shop, not all the shops. And then those people will help them. They will give them their aids. Another one would be Bus Money Africa. They are focused on Africa, and it's going to be like, you have an account, you can give this account access to your friends and family, and when you are on the way as a refugee going from one country to another, your family can send money to that, and when you receive, when you get to the country of your destination, then you just need a phone. When you get the phone, then you can somehow access to that aid with your money, the money that your family has sent, and then you can go to some local shops and receive some goods. This one is really interesting as well. The UN Refugee Agency in Switzerland, they use Cardano blockchain and they have a staking pool. It's like there's a staking pool, and we want to help the refugees. We all will buy some ADA. ADA is the native token as Cardano. Then we're going to stake the ADA in their staking pool. And when there is some profit or the benefit will go to the refugees. So it's going to be like, you're not even spending money. You're not going to lose your money. Your money is going to be yours. You're just staking it. And the benefits are going to the refugees. The benefits are usually moved to their account through stable coins. Stable coins are some coins which are pegged usually to dollar or euro. For example, USDC, USDT, and then they will receive the profits. Carbon credits. Has anyone heard anything about carbon credits? Nobody. So, oh, okay, perfect. I see 2 hands. Companies have the right to pollute the air to a specific amount. When you want to pollute the air a little more than that, you have to buy some carbon credits. And if you don't pollute the air as much as you are allowed to, you can sell your carbon credits to other companies that needs it. So this is an incentivized ecosystem and system to make it possible for companies to earn money when they produce less CO2 emission. So the companies that want to be greener, they will try not to emit more greenhouse gases, and they sell their carbon credits, so they will earn more money. So this way, they will move towards a good action, and they will get incentivized as well. So we used to have a conventional carbon credit market, a normal carbon credit market. But then people used blockchain technology and tokenized the carbon credits. So this is one of the use cases of tokenization that I just mentioned in the former slides. Here you can see some of the disadvantages of conventional carbon credits and why we should tokenize carbon credits. So in the conventional carbon credits, brokers take large fees. In the traditional market, when I have a company and I have a carbon credit, I have to give it to a broker, and the broker should go and sell it to someone else. They usually get a lot of fees. But when you tokenize the carbon credits, You go directly in the market, you will exchange it peer-to-peer, and there will be no broker fees in between. Another problem would be brokers buy cheap credits from developing nations and sell them at an inflated price. Again, that's the centralization problem. There is an intermediary. There's someone between you and the other person. It's not fast, there will be the double counting problem, you will have no royalties. Royalties is very interesting in the blockchain world. Imagine I'm a musician. I create a piece of music. Nowadays, in Web 2, when I sell my piece of music to someone else, then it's not mine anymore. If they use that piece of song in other songs, in, I don't know, in a concert, if they sell it again, I'm not going to get any profit. But with the concept of royalties, when I make an NFT of that piece of music, I write a smart contract and I say, whenever this piece of music is sold to someone else, or whenever it's used in another song or in a concert or anywhere, I want to get 10% of all the money that is gathered. And then it doesn't matter if you have contact with that person or the other persons. When this piece of music is exchanged between people, you will keep on receiving benefits in your crypto wallet, and that's what we call royalties. So royalties are really interesting for artists, for musicians, for people who create art. So here you can see the benefits of tokenization of carbon credits. As I said, there will be more accessibility. It will be easier for you, for your company, to buy carbon credits and to sell carbon credits. There will be transparency, you can see all the transactions, you can follow companies. For example, if you want to invest in a company and you want to make sure that they are ESG compliant, they don't really emit a lot of gas in the air, or they don't pollute the air, you can see all the information. Everything is transparent on the blockchain. And the market is more liquid. When everything is tokenized, it's so much easier to buy and sell because there is a digital platform. You can just sell, you can buy, you can do whatever you want. But in the traditional carbon credit market, you have to find a broker. And it's dependent on how many connections that broker has so that you can sell it or buy another credit. Another one for the benefits would be price discovery, new sources of demand, and better financing of developers. I just mentioned planetary boundaries a few slides ago. Planetary boundaries are 6 boundaries related to Earth. They refer to the resources that we have. It can be like climate change, clean water, or like novel entities, land use system, the sources that we have in the planet that we are using. In 2009, you can see that 7 of the boundaries are crossed. You can see the biosphere, and this one, biochemical, and this one, climate change, are crossed. In 2005, 4 of them are crossed. And in 2003, and today, 6 of them are crossed. It means it's dangerous. It means we are in the danger zone. It shouldn't be there. There are some things going to happen which are irreversible. We still have time. There are still a little hope to change things. But if we cross a little more boundaries, the things are not going to be reversible, and that's going to be horrible for humans. So planetary boundaries is one of the things that is really important in ReFi if you are trying to work on a ReFi project, which is related to, for example, fresh water or land usage and so on. You can check whether they are doing anything to make the situation worse or they're doing anything to make the situation better. Nature as an asset class. Have you ever heard the sentence? To look at nature as an asset class? That's a new concept. So we have natural resources, ecosystem services, and biodiversity. When we care about the nature around us, when we care about biodiversity, when we care about the ecosystem that we have, we will have a thriving ecosystem, and that will move towards more benefits for everyone. So this is a phrase that you will see a lot in ReFi projects because they look at nature as an asset. They look at nature and everything in the nature as something that you can earn benefit from it. You can actually earn money from it if you use it wisely. This is another project which is really interesting. It's Mass Earth. Most of the projects, the carbon credit projects, are connected to the Amazon forests. So with your actions on this platform, you will somehow help the Amazon forest to get preserved. ReFi DAO is another interesting community. Again, DAO is an autonomous organization, decentralized autonomous organization. What they do is that they want to empower the ReFi community and they want to bring more professionals into the ReFi world. They have a lot of videos, and something that is really interesting for me is that when you open their videos, most of them are educational about finance and regeneration and nature and so on, but always at the beginning or at the end of the videos they do some meditation, something to make you relax, some sounds of the nature and so on. And that was really cool for me because they believe that outer change comes from inner change. So if you really want to make some change in the world, to move towards regeneration, first you need to have a calm inner side. You have to make a change inside yourself, and then you can make change in other places. So if ReFi, the concept of ReFi is interesting for you, maybe you should search that, ReFi DAO, and they have a lot of interesting contents that you can follow. Ikigai helped the farmers in faraway places, in jungles and villages in which people don't even have internet and they don't have access to the market. They make it possible for people like us to invest in their farms. Sometimes they don't have money, they need some money to plant the crops, and then when they benefit, you will receive some benefit as well. So it's going to be an investment, and it's going to be a good thing because you're helping someone, you're doing financial inclusion. So it's going under the category of ReFi. So PLENO, if you look at this picture here, you see some drones. What PLENO do is that they create a network of smart drones. They make a lot of pictures and videos everywhere. They gather the data so that they can have more accurate information about the nature, about the jungles, and then it will help in the process of carbon credits. So the carbon credit registries will use this information and they will make sure, okay, which place is connected to which project, and it will make everything more transparent. Personal regeneration. That is really cool as well. You know, the first time when I heard the concept of ReFi, I was like, I mean, at the beginning when I didn't know anything about it, I was like, okay, what can I do? I'm just one person. The government should do something, or the new communities or rich people should do something. But then I realized every single one of us, we can make a change if we just move one step forward, if we just do one little change in our lifestyle. For example, the first one would be education. Just to learn more about the nature, to learn more about ReFi, to learn more about how you as an individual can do something to make the world a better place. Then carbon footprints. There are some websites out there that you can actually track your own carbon footprint based on information if you have a car or if you use a bicycle or some other stuff. Then we have energy consumption. Maybe we can just be a little more careful about how many lights are on at home. And then we have waste reduction, like putting them separately. We actually do it in Germany, and that's good. Water usage, social impact. In our investments, that would be really good if you pay a little attention to invest in projects that are actually adding some value to the world and they're not just about monetary things. And educate others. When you learn something and when you see that someone is doing something wrong, just tell them. Try to inform them. Try to educate them. Ikigai is very interesting in the era of personal regeneration as well. If you look at this one, about what you love, your passion, what you really wake up in the morning to do. And then here is what you can be paid for, the skills that you have, the jobs that you can have. And then here you can see what you are good at, something that you have done a lot and you're really experienced at it. And then here we have what the world needs. So here in the middle is your Ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese term and it means a reason to wake up. It means your passion. So if you can find this point in your life, something that you're passionate about, something that you're good at, something that you can be paid for, and something that is good for the world and adds some value to the world, you are actually moving towards ReFi. So that would be a challenge to find your Ikigai, but I suggest you start doing it from now. And regenerative leaders, that is very interesting as well. We are moving towards a world in which we don't need the hierarchy and the traditional bosses in the past. We need generative leaders. Generative leaders are like the heroes of the new societies, the heroes of the new communities. They are systematic, they are inclusive, they are strategic, they are innovative, they are courageous, and they are caring. So when we talk about ReFi, it's not just about nature or carbon dioxide or carbon credits and so on. It can be about you as a human. It can be about how you deal with other humans around you, what you do at your job. This can be very interesting for you if you like the concept of ReFi. I started my journey in the ReFi Talents course, which is organized by the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. They have many courses. It's called Web3 Talents, and then there will be some different courses like ReFi Talents, DLT Talents, NFT Talents, Bitcoin Talents, and so on. They're completely free. You don't pay anything, but then you will receive a certificate from the Frankfurt School, and it will start on July 22nd. I thought maybe that would be interesting for you. You can take part, and then you will learn more about ReFi, and you will get to know a lot of people who are working in the ReFi industry. You can visit coinIX.capital, that is our website, and if you want to get contacted to me, you can visit bento.me/Mahsa. All my social media are there. If you have any questions, just feel free to write to me, and thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thanks so much for your inspiring presentation. Any questions?
Still haven't got my head around how companies who provide the blockchain or how profit is generated if the final goal is to completely decentralize everything. Where are companies who work in it or who provide the service, how would they still earn profit from a decentralized system?
I mean, how it will get some kind of profit or get money or something. So there are different business models. One of the business models that the blockchain-based companies have is the token-based model. So they have a token, they will raise funds, people are going to buy the token, then they will receive some money, and when the people have that token, they will have the right to vote on anything that is happening in that protocol, so they will somehow be a part of that company. And then the owners, the originators of the project, will get that money, they will pay the personnel, they will pay the other expenses that exist in the company. This is just one of the business models. There are so many different business models, and it's just so different in all
So they earn money by letting people or users into the system?
Yeah, so when you buy the token of the project, you will be somehow one of the stakeholders of that project. And then you will give money to the project. Yeah, then you're going to get profit from it. Yeah?
Yeah, Adi, I mean, the owners, of course, they can propose new ideas or activities the company should do, and then everyone who owns a small part of that token can vote. But can they also propose new ideas?
Yeah.
And if yes, how would they do it?
Indeed. There are some platforms such as Discord or forums, so each blockchain project has different platforms. But most of the time it's on Discord, or they have their own forums on their website. then you will get connected to that platform with your wallet, and then they will calculate how many tokens of that project you have. Then based on the tokens that you have, the more you have, the more voting power you have. And then you can just propose. So every single person who owns one token of that community will be able to propose a topic. Yeah?
Yeah, just one more question to you mentioned two systems of blockchain. So one that needs a lot of energy, I think that's like the old version.
Proof of work,
yes,
and proof of stake.
And could you one more explain how the sustainable proof of stake, how this works?
When we say proof of work, we have a lot of computers, big computers, which use a lot of energy, and they have to solve a really hard mathematical problem. Whenever they fix one mathematical problem, you will earn one token. This is basically how Bitcoin works. But in the proof of stake system, it's going to be like you go and buy a part of that cryptocurrency, for example, Ethereum. I go buy some cryptocurrencies, I buy Ethereum. Then I will stake my Ethereum in a staking pool or on a staking platform. Then I will be a part of that system. I will be one of the validators. It means whenever that a transaction is happening somewhere else in the world, I will be one of the people who is validating that transaction. So everybody all around the world will validate every single transaction all around the world that is happening. And the more validations we have, the more legit that transaction is. So this is basically how the proof of stake works. So it doesn't need a lot of computational power and electricity. Yeah?
You mentioned that we're actually in the Web 2 world. What do you think? I think it's a long way to go to the Web 3 world. What do you think?
Like how long it's gonna take?
Yeah.
It's gonna take a long time. Like people are not really ready. The regulations is so complicated, and people just don't trust blockchain. They don't trust cryptocurrencies. It's really hard to bring them in. But who knows, you know, many technologies have happened in one night and you just woke up the next day and you were like, wow, something has changed in this world. But I personally think that it's going to take a lot of time. Maybe it's not going to happen in the next 5 years, but we have a lot of positive news in the market. And we are in this industry, we can see what the banks are doing in the background, what partnerships they are having. And when you see that a lot of huge institutions are actually using blockchain, they are striving to hire people who are experts in blockchain, then that means something's going on in the background. People are thinking, okay, we need to position ourselves somewhere that when it's escalated, we are in a position to benefit from it. So I think maybe in the next 5-6 years, we're going to see some more adoption into the Web3 world.
How do you actually validate in a proof of stake system? Can you give maybe an example for that?
So the thing is that when you want to stake a token, there are different ways. One of them is native staking. That means you buy the infrastructure at your home and you just set up everything. But then you're gonna need a lot of money because you need at least, I think, 30 Ethereum or so in order to do it. And each Ethereum costs, I don't know, 3,000, 4,000. So it's gonna be very expensive. But for example, we in our company, we have bought the whole infrastructure in our office and we do it ourselves. But if you, for example, want to do staking and validation of transactions yourself, you can just use a staking platform, then you don't have to take care of any technical things. So they will take care of the technical stuff. The staking platform will do it for you. But if you want to do it yourself, it's going to be so complicated, so technical, and so expensive. So if you want to do it, I suggest you choose a staking platform. You just buy some cryptocurrencies and they will do it for you.
And the platform will take a bit of a credit from that?
Okay. They're going to give us, some fees from your money, but that's not too much.
Okay.
Yeah?
In what way are tokens different than shares? Like I can buy a share of a company, maybe I can also buy a share of real estate or the diamond that was big. Like for example, if someone made a piece of paper, it can be digital as well. What is the difference to tokens?
The difference is that when we are talking about something that is tokenized, the information will be stored on the blockchain. It means it can be accessed anywhere in the world. So for example, if right now I transfer something tokenized to your wallet, someone else in America or another country, they can go and see all the information related to that blockchain. But when you are talking about the traditional shares, it's not like that. It's not that transparent. Like not everybody can see what exactly is happening on the market. So the digital representation is so much more transparent, and it's living on the blockchain. So it's going to be like coding on the blockchain.
So you mean security is higher, like the example in the beginning, if my phone or account is not there anymore, I can still prove that this is my diamond or whatever because everybody has it.
Yeah, indeed, the security will be so much higher, and you don't even have to have it on your phone. You can, for example, have a cold wallet on Ledger, and it just doesn't have to be connected to your computer or internet or anything. You just put it away. So it's much more secure.
When we talk about security, you mean you control all transparency to everyone who can see the blockchain? How you can, when you see, how you can identify something illegal, or what actions can you take when you identify something illegal has happened?
Mm-hmm. You know, regarding this transparency, it's like, for example, I have a wallet. I have 3 wallets. I use one of them as my public wallet. For example, if I transfer something to your wallet from my wallet, you will see all those numbers and you will understand, aha, that is her wallet. Then you know that all the transactions that are happening with that wallet are connected to me. But if you don't know, if I don't transfer anything to you, and you follow the transactions with that wallet on the blockchain scanners, you can see the transactions, but you cannot see who has done it. So it's somehow a bit complicated. If you have the associated address to a company, you can see all of their transactions. Some of the companies want to be transparent. So they say, this is our wallet address. Then everybody would be able to go and say, okay, they have done these transactions. But some companies don't want to be transparent. So they don't share their wallet address. Then you cannot do anything. Even though they are using blockchain, you will not be able to follow to see whether they are doing legal things or whether they are really doing good transactions. So it's, you really need to have access to that wallet address to monitor everything.
Okay, thanks again. I've got a little present for you.
Oh, thank